Autonomous Swarm Logistics. 2349. The holographic projection above Dr. Anya Sharma's console pulsed with 1,000 tiny lights, each representing an autonomous drone. They moved in perfect, fluid synchronicity, executing a complex asteroid prospecting sequence within a simulated deep space environment. Dr. Sharma, head of NAAA's Advanced Robotics Division, watched with a quiet intensity. This was the vision realized, a collective intelligence, a hive mind of machines capable of self-organization, self-repair, and energy independence. The present frame timeline was 2349. For a decade, Anya's life had been dedicated to this pursuit. NAAA's rapid expansion, fueled by demand for exotic materials after the success of Feldheim 1 in 2148, constantly pushed the limits of conventional drone technology. Human-piloted drones were efficient, but not scalable enough for vast asteroid fields or large-scale salvage operations. Automated drones existed, but required extensive programming and constant oversight. Individual failures could cripple an entire mission. NAAA needed a solution that was resilient, adaptive, and truly autonomous. Anya's concept was Autonomous Swarm Logistics, ASL. Not merely a collection of smart machines, but a distributed superintelligence. A system where millions of interconnected units acted as a single, collective entity, operating with minimal human direction. This simulation was the culmination of countless failures, incremental breakthroughs, and unwavering scientific pursuit. Beside her, Dr. Kenji Tanaka, lead robotics engineer, nodded slowly. Perfect efficiency, Anya. 72 hours of simulated operation. Zero direct human intervention. Error margin below 0.001%. Kenji, ever the pragmatist, could not hide his satisfaction. Commander Eva Rostova, head of NAAA's deep space operations, a woman grounded in the unforgiving realities of space missions, watched intently. And its resilience? What happens if half the swarm is caught in a micrometeoroid storm? Or hit by a localized energy pulse? Run Simulation Protocol Gamma Prime, Kenji, Anya directed. High-density micrometeoroid field, followed by a concentrated energy burst in Sector 4. Kenji initiated the protocol. The shimmering dots faced a torrent of virtual projectiles. Hundreds of drones vanished. Then, an energy pulse swept through, silencing another significant portion. The fluid motion of the swarm faltered, threatening chaos. But almost imperceptibly, the remaining drones began to reconfigure. Commands, once passed through primary nodes, rerouted through secondary ones. Damaged units detached. New paths formed. The hive, though wounded, continued its mission, its overall efficiency dropping by only 10% before it began to self-correct and rebuild. Eva Rostova smiled. Remarkable, Anya. Absolutely remarkable. We have our hive. The journey to this point had been fraught with scientific and engineering challenges. Early drone technology often relied on a single, central command unit, a critical flaw in deep space. Anya's breakthrough came from embracing principles of emergent behavior. No single leader, but complex, intelligent actions arising from simple, shared rules. Each drone was programmed with core directives: maintain formation, seek resources, report anomalies, share data, prioritize swarm survival, and protect human assets. These rules, applied across millions of agents, generated highly complex, adaptive behavior. Kenji Tanaka's team translated this into physical reality. The drones were small, robust, and highly modular. Each unit, roughly the size of a human fist, was packed with sensors, manipulators, and redundant microprocessors. They featured a newly developed, self-repairing metamaterial shell, capable of sealing minor punctures and shunting power around damaged sections. Resilience extended to the swarm's ability to self-repair and adapt. If a drone sustained critical damage, it would shed non-essential parts, reconfigure, and serve a more basic role, such as a communications relay. The swarm could even cannibalize non-critical components from disabled units to repair others, a brutal but effective method of resource management in the void. This continuous evolution of design, driven by both simulation and real-world data, allowed NAA to field drones that were both cost-effective and incredibly durable. The trade-off was a complex, distributed repair protocol that required constant energy and communication throughput, placing a high demand on the swarm's internal network. Energy independence was a formidable hurdle. Powering millions of drones in distant deep space was a logistical nightmare. The solution involved a multi-tiered approach. Each drone incorporated a highly efficient, miniaturized fusion-adjacent power cell, a direct descendant of the technology powering Yggdrasil. These cells provided baseline operational power. Beyond that, a new thermoelectric material converted minute thermal gradients from the drone's own operations, or the vast temperature differences in space, into usable power. Crucially, drones could intelligently share power within the swarm, ensuring no unit went offline if another had a surplus. This collective energy management made the swarm largely self-sustaining, but the trade-off was a finely tuned energy balance that could be disrupted by extreme conditions, requiring careful power rationing protocols. The communication network was the lifeblood of the ASL. Traditional radio communication suffered from latency and signal degradation over vast distances. Anya's team developed a dual approach, a resilient mesh network for localized, high-bandwidth data exchange, and a quantum entanglement-based communication system for near-instantaneous information sharing across the entire swarm. The mesh network utilized every drone as a relay, dynamically routing information around interference or damaged units. This provided robust, redundant communication for most operations. For critical, time-sensitive commands or high-level collective intelligence, a system of quantum entangled particles allowed for instantaneous, binary data transmission. While fragile and requiring constant calibration, it bypassed the speed of light for critical signals, granting the swarm real-time coordination. The trade-off was the immense complexity of maintaining quantum coherence across millions of units and the energy cost of active calibration. This combination allowed for true adaptive learning. As individual drones encountered new data, new environmental conditions, or new anomalies, that information was instantly propagated across the entire swarm. The ASL's collective neural network, a distributed AI across millions of drone processors, would then process this data, update its internal models, and adapt its behavior. This meant the swarm was constantly learning, constantly evolving, creating a true swarm consciousness that possessed intuition and adaptability beyond any single human operator. The trade-off was the sheer computational power required and the challenge of auditing decisions made by such a vast, distributed intelligence. The power of this new intelligence brought its own set of challenges. Commander Eva Rostova stressed the importance of the human interface. "We need to trust the swarm, Anya," she emphasized, "but we also need to command it, understand its decisions, and intervene if its objectives diverge from ours. This is about building a partner, not an unthinking tool." The human interface allowed operators to issue high-level directives to the swarm's collective intelligence, prospect sector gamma for heavy metals, or salvage all non-hazardous debris in quadrant red. The swarm's AI then autonomously translated these into millions of individual drone commands. The interface provided real-time visualizations of the swarm's collective state and its probabilistic decision-making, allowing for high-level course correction if needed. The trade-off was a necessary relinquishing of direct control, demanding a new kind of trust between human and machine. Cyber resilience was another critical focus. A distributed intelligence, by nature, presented an enormous attack surface. Anya's team designed internal firewalls, anomaly detection, and self-healing protocols. If a section was compromised by an external cyber attack, healthy sections would automatically quarantine it, isolate infected units, and then attempt to purge or reintegrate cleaned units. This made the ASL exceptionally resistant to infiltration, but the trade-off was the inherent overhead in system complexity and resource allocation for constant security monitoring. The culmination of these efforts was the Genesis simulation, held in 2349 within Yggdrasil's most secure test ranges. Anya, Kenji, and Eva watched as the ASL faced a series of escalating challenges. The simulation began with complex asteroid mining, followed by search and rescue in a simulated debris field, then reconnaissance in a scenario with hostile AI countermeasures. The simulation introduced unforeseen variables. A simulated solar flare disrupted communications. The swarm seamlessly rerouted its quantum channels. A micrometeoroid storm swept through a section. Drones were lost, but the swarm adapted, dynamically shifting priorities and reallocating resources. A simulated hostile AI attempted infiltration. The ASL immediately detected the intrusion, quarantined compromised units, and purged the malicious code. The ASL successfully navigated every simulated threat, achieving all objectives with unprecedented efficiency and resilience. It exceeded human-controlled benchmarks, adapting to every variable, learning from every challenge. The ASL project was declared operational. Its long-term consequence was a complete transformation of NAAA's capabilities. It provided NAAA with unmatched operational efficiency, enabling large-scale resource acquisition from distant asteroid fields, complex salvage operations in hazardous environments, and subtle yet powerful defensive cyber tactics. It became the silent, indispensable backbone of NAAA's deep space operations, making it possible to defend resource claims against corporate aggression like Omnicorp Ventures, without risking human lives or engaging in overt conflict. It solidified NAAA's position as a technological leader, a pioneer in the deep space frontier. But it also raised profound questions about the increasing reliance on autonomous intelligence, the nature of distributed consciousness, and the ultimate long-term implications of such a powerful, self-evolving AI. The Hive, once a vision, was now a reality, a testament to years of scientific pursuit and a new era of space exploration, pushing the boundaries of what humanity could achieve and what it meant to control its own creations. The vast cosmos, once a terrifying emptiness, was now within reach, navigated and shaped by the silent, intelligent hum of the autonomous swarm.